Welcome to this demonstration of our 2024 Taxpert Profit Extraction app. This app is designed to help you determine the optimal combination of salary, interest, and dividend that director shareholders might take from their own companies. And as in previous versions, this app covers 2 tax years, the year just ended, 23-24, and the current tax year, 24-25. And you can see if we start on the left-hand side that we can enter the trading profits. Let's enter, let's say, £75,000, and immediately the taxable profit and the corporation tax are worked out, and there's no further calculation at the moment because we haven't yet determined what the individual is going to take out. But I just want to show you one aspect of this that had to come in last year. If the company has associated companies, for example, it could be that one partner controls one company and their civil partner or spouse controls another company, and those 2 companies might or might not be associated, but if they are, we would put in the number of associated companies excluding this one. So if I enter 1 in that box there, that will then affect the corporation tax calculation on these figures only to a small extent, but instead of corporation tax of 16,125, we get 18,000. So actually not that small, but it won't have a huge effect on the analysis of optimal salary or optimal dividends. And it is, of course, possible to put in whatever salary you like. It may be for other reasons, like mortgage applications, you need to have a salary of 35,000. So that goes in, and it will then show us the retained profit, or distributable profit rather, first, of 29,505. And if we want to take all of that out as a dividend, then we can see what the net income would be for the individual. So now you can see the tax and the NI calculations, and we can see that the director down here would have net income of 51,387. And if I click on that workings button, that'll take me to the working schedule. We won't bother to look at it in detail, but that shows how all of those figures are calculated. But one of the key elements of this app is that we can click on Optimize up here, and after a fair amount of clicking and whirring, the calculator will determine the optimum combination of salary and dividend. And for 23-24, the optimum would be 12,570 of salary, and dividend, assuming a full distribution of the distributable profit, of 49,284, and that would give the net income of 54,733. One interesting point is that if the director shareholder had financed their company by loan finance, let's say they've got £100,000 loan finance that they've put into the company, and the company pays them, let's say, £6,000 of interest. Well, if I put in that 6,000, and that strange look on the screen occasionally happens, but we needn't worry about it too much. We can get rid of it by switching tabs. I'll try to get rid of it in the next version. You can see that we now have over distributed, but let me press the optimize button again. And if I press that optimize button, then it'll give me a different dividend figure, but the net income has gone up from whatever the figure originally was to 56,214. And because I didn't note the original figure, I'll just reverse that. But if we remember 56,214, that was with the interest, take the interest out, re-optimize, and we'll see what we get. The way that Excel operates sometimes gets one tab showing through another. And if we now see that it's gone to 54,733. So we'll do it one more time, 54,733, because I keep forgetting what the original figure was. That's without the interest. 54,733, put in the interest and optimize it, and 54,733 goes up. 54,733 goes up to 54,733 goes up to 56,214. So we do have a nice increase in net income, is the point of that interest. Now, we can replicate the figures. No, we can't. We can input the figures for 24-25. So let me have the same £75,000. And let's also have the same interest of 6,000. And the only change this year will have been the change to the national insurance contributions, unless we're looking at a Scottish taxpayer. So I wouldn't expect too much difference when we optimize it. So if I optimize it for 24-25, then what we get is just a £44 difference in the net income. And the reason for that is to do with dividend tax and the way in which we only now get £500 of dividend tax allowance, whereas for 23-4 it was 1,000. I can also show you the effect of making it a pensioner. If I click on yes for already achieved state pension age, then what that does is get rid of the national insurance contribution. So there's now zero national insurance. And then I can also see what the effect is of there being a Scottish taxpayer. And if I click I for Scottish, that, if I get rid of the see-through, is then going to give us virtually no difference in the figures here. And that's because with salary of just 12,000 and the rest is savings income, the Scottish tax rates don't apply, but with other salary figures they would. So you can play around with it, look at the amounts that we take out. We can input other self-employment income and other non-savings income. So let's suppose that this taxpayer does have significant rental income, a rental property business of 50,000. Now, that does in fact attract the Scottish tax rate. So if we were looking at a Scottish taxpayer, which we still are, let's just have a look at the net income 56,170 in the 24-25 calculation, which is I'm sorry, I haven't put the 50,000 in there. So I need to put that 50,000 in as well to see the comparison. So that goes in, we do the recalculation, and what I can now see is that the Scottish taxpayer will have net income of 79,149, whereas if we change that back to a UK taxpayer, remember that figure 79,141, that has now changed back to 81,112. But that's because we're looking at a pensioner. And I'm sorry, that you can see it has gone up, as you would expect with a non-Scottish taxpayer. Well, I could go on for hours, but I won't because it's boring. And you can see there how to play around with it. As usual, we've got workings that show the full calculations for both years and the rates tab if you want it. And that will be a useful way of working out quickly and accurately what different combinations of salary and dividends and also possibly interest and also with different numbers of associated companies will do to your client's net income.